Well, hello and welcome to the Brand Breakthrough Show. This is our weekly time together where we get to invite you to ask questions, where you get to hear some of the interviews that we have with amazing people that I am meeting all over the world that are part of our Brand Builders Clinic within the Brand Builders Club as well, and taking you further forward faster. So hi Chris, I can see you're there. Hi Lubna, it's great to see you, and please tag anybody in that you think should be on here. Brenda, hello. So today we're covering 4 amazing steps that the brilliant, the genius, the guru, hi Wilma, that is Chris Williams, who is just one half of the amazing power team. And those of you, hi Amanda and Carol, those of you that joined us at the event in London Heathrow at the weekend just gone, you will have met the amazing Martha Hanlon, who is Chris Williams's business partner. So they are partners in all things to do with sales and marketing. And for those of you that went through the 10-day challenge, we couldn't quite get the system working for Chris to join us. So I wanted you to have access to this Wonder Woman of wow sales and marketing as well. So that, because we couldn't interview her during the challenge, so I wanted you to still have access to her. Yes, Martha blew us all away. Amanda, you're going to get to meet Chris in April. So Chris, I'm just adding you on now. And you know, one of the things that we're gonna do is cover some of the things.
Oh yay! Hi, all the way from California.
It's lovely to see you. So, Chris, have you got any earphones that you can put in? I'm
yes, I do. Hold on.
Do a little dance in the meantime. Dance with me. Give me the moves. What could we do? We're dancing.
Oh, hold on a second. Okay, give me your. I have to go get my headset. I'll be right back.
Okay. I will have a cup of tea. You look like a mug. You're probably reading it. I'm going to press continue without guest for now on. So Chris, when you come back in, I will add you again. It's just that we're getting feedback on here. So these are 4 of the things that we're going to cover. These are 4 of the things that Chris is dialing in all the way from California to cover with us today, and to just reiterate some of the things that you've learned from Chris and Martha as we've traveled around the world delivering our brand builders training days. And so, okay, perfect, Chris, I'll bring you back on. So one of the things that we're going to cover is the power hour. This is something that we've talked about at the events, but there's some extra little tips that Chris has for you that we didn't cover while we were there. The Power 100, set an easy goal, and how to do the follow-up without feeling like you're bugging people. So give me a thumbs up if that would be a good thing for you to really master, or if at the weekends where you've joined us at the team days, you might need a little bit of extra tips or strategies around it. So Chris, you're back. We have headphones.
Yes, yay! Woo! Oh, jeez, modern technology. Gotta love it.
I know. And well, it's good because it gave me a chance. We all had a dance. We all had a boogie while you were getting your headphones, and we did a little bit of staying alive, and we drank tea, so we're all good. How are you, good, darling? Are you calling from California today?
I am calling from California today, and it's been raining here like nobody's business. And today is beautiful and sunny, and We're so excited. So I'm excited to join you. I love technology, how you can be all the way in London and I can be here and it all works. So thank you.
I know, super cool. And I'll try not to have my naked husband walking around on camera behind this one.
Yeah, I heard that.
Some fun times. So,
nice.
Chris, you know, we had the fortune of spending time with you in Florida for the members training day in Florida for the Brand Builders Club. And then we had Martha with us in the UK this week, just gone. And we're going to get time to spend with you in April. I believe you're coming over to the April event.
Yes, I'm so excited. Yep, I'm so excited.
Excellent.
And Martha had a great time while she was with you, and that was a great experience. You know, she used to work in London at the, the local phone company in London.
BT.
Yeah, BT.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun.
I know. So we're pulling you back. We're getting you back to the UK as often as we can because we just love you two so much. And you know, where it comes to sales and marketing, they are some of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs have because there's so much you could do. There's so much out there. And sometimes we can get so caught up in doing marketing that we think is going to generate money, but actually there are really 4 things that are going to generate the sales. And that's what I love about you because you're so focused on how can you create a win-win conversation where you get to deliver value and you get to be rewarded for it in return. So what are some of the things you want to talk about tonight that you're going to give us some little sneaky insights into that we've been waiting for you so excitedly because the technology let us down a couple of weeks ago. So we've got everyone on a hook.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Tell us about these things.
So what I would love to talk about is there are 4 strategies that Martha and I have been put together 5 or 6 years ago. And what's interesting is that those same strategies work over and over and over and over again. And they're kind of simple and they're free. So get out your pencil and paper and write them down because I guarantee you do these 4 things, you will improve your business success. And Sammy, that's what I love about you. That's what you're all about, right? It's how to build a brand. And the only way you can build a brand is if people see you and buy from you. If they don't see you and buy from you, no brand. So,
you have no brand.
Right. So the first one is the power hour. And I know we've spoken a little bit about this. Trish talked about this last month or a couple weeks ago. And what I wanted to say about the power hour is that where I came up with this, I didn't make it up. In 2007, I spent the year with 4 business owners who were all making over $100,000, which is more in pounds, in every single month. So it wasn't like they were just making $100,000 a year. They were making $100,000 every month. And there were 4 things that all 4 of them did. They didn't know each other and they were doing it consistently. And one of them was they all had some form of the power hour. And when I adopted that, I was like, wow, if those business owners are doing $100,000 a month, if I adopt those and I get all of our people, the brand builders people, to adopt those, then absolutely we can improve our business and serve more people and get more people to figure out and follow us and build our brands. So the power hour is 1 hour a day where it's non-negotiable. And here's what cracks me up. So people pay taxes, non-negotiable. People go to urgent doctor's appointments, urgent car repair, right? And why do we do that? We do that because the consequence is so high. So what I always want to ask everybody, and maybe put this answer in the Facebook, what's something that's non-negotiable for you? Like non-negotiable. Non-negotiable, you're going to take your kids to school. Non-negotiable. And then ask yourself the question, what happens if you don't get new customers? What happens if you don't share your services with other people? Like, what happens?
And how can you do those non-negotiable things if you don't have money? It's like
Exactly.
non-negotiable is feeding yourself. Non-negotiable is getting sleep. Non-negotiable is so many of those things. Yet when you're not bringing money in, you don't get the sleep that you really want because you're stressed. And like, how could you afford to feed yourself if you're not making sales?
Exactly.
Feed your family. So, but none of those non-negotiable things can happen if you're not making sales.
Exactly. So what I look at is the power hour is what I coined it to be, or what Martha and I coined it to be. The power hour is a non-negotiable appointment with myself to make outbound calls to my potential clients, right? And there's a whole, I'm going to give you a little tool after we're done with this conversation. And the little tool goes in detail of the power hour of exactly how you do it. But for this conversation it's a non-negotiable appointment with yourself. Like, what would it be like if you put in your calendar a power hour, non-negotiable, with myself all day long? And I guarantee, this is what I love. I guarantee you put a power hour, you all, me, Sammy, puts a power hour in our calendar every day, and you actually, I'll share with you the next step, which is how to do it, and you make that non-negotiable, I guarantee you'll get more customers. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, and that can work even if your power hour is follow-up with your existing customers.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Whenever you're contacting them, you're finding out more things from them that they need from you.
Absolutely. So the second part, so power hour is the first tool. The second tool is the power 100 list. And everybody, I can feel you all, right? You go, ooh, a list of customers. I don't know that many people. So here's what we know. How many people do you think on average, put it in the little chat box, how many people on average do you think that everybody has in their email list or in their phone list? How many people do you think we have on average?
Gosh, write your number. Well, how many do you think you roughly have in your phone book? Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's not just the phone book, is it? Because think about how many groups we're in on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Right.
How many physical groups as well, you know, like if you're part of an association or part of a chamber of commerce. Or,
right.
You know, when you start those things up, the connections that you have across networks, the people that, how many people are following you, or how many people are you following that you're not engaging with, so they're not following with you if you engage them more with them more than they would. So that's I mean, you're into thousands at that point.
Well, and so what I want to suggest is we really look at people that we have phone numbers for this particular exercise. Okay. So a lot of those groups you can get phone numbers for. We go on LinkedIn all the time and get phone numbers. But if you just look at your phone list or your email list, that you have a way to contact them, but your phone list for sure, the average number of phone numbers people have. Do you have some numbers that people said?
Yeah, I'm astonished. Carol's got 10,000 plus. She added it up a while back. And then Amanda says over 300. Lubna over 150. I must have at least 400 or maybe even 500 numbers in my phone.
So the number is what they say, right? Is they say the average is 238. So everybody has, on average, a 238 folks in their phone list. So what would it be like if you just created a list of 100 people that you have phone numbers for? And you created that list of 100. And in the little tool that I'm going to share with you that you guys all get for free, it shows you exactly how to divide up that list. So you divide it up by A's, B's, C's, and D's. A's are the people that you must call, and you know you must call them. B are people maybe that you want to follow up with. C are people that could refer other people to you. Because this is what I hear on our sales coaching calls. People say, oh, I just don't want to bother them. I just don't want to call them. And here's what I know. we are not telemarketers, right? We don't call at 6 o'clock at night. We don't call at 9 o'clock. Somebody called my house the other day at 9 o'clock at night. And I answered the phone because no one calls our house at 9 o'clock at night, right? Except for a family member, right? I answered the phone, didn't even think about it. And they're like, I want to talk to Mrs. Williams. And I'm like, who is this? That is a telemarketing call. You guys are never going to do that, right? You're never going to bother anybody. You're never going to step over that line. You're just going to call people, build relationship, find out what their need is, if any, find out what their problem is, right? It's like, it cracks me up when those telemarketers, I feel so sorry for those young people because that's who they mostly are, at least in the States. And I just want to go, what in the heck are you doing calling me at 9 o'clock at night, right? But if somebody calls me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on my business phone, I answer the phone, I'm cordial to them. And even if it is a sales call, and this is how you know if it's a sales call, people go, I want to tell you about my widget because my widget is pink and it's the best widget that you could ever buy. And I'm like, what? Hello, goodbye. So you guys aren't going to do, right? You guys aren't going to do that. You're going to call up and say, hi, Sammy, I wanted to chat with you because I'm doing some really cool stuff. I know you're doing some really cool stuff and I want to see how we can work together. And Sammy goes, well, of course. And I'll say, well, is it a good time to talk? She'll say yes or no. She says no. I love it when people say no. She says no. And I say, great, Sammy, when's a great time to call you? And she'll say, well, call me at the 1st of March. I go, great. Is Friday or Monday better for you? And she'll say, Friday. Go, great. I'll call you back on the first Friday in March and we'll talk. And she's like, of course. So when I call back on Friday in March, Sammy goes, I can't believe you actually called me back. And I said, well, you told me to. You told me to call you on Friday in March, right? And so now we have a conversation planned at a good time. I don't know. I get kind of passionate.
Got a yes before you get on the call.
Right.
This was the other thing that Tasha was talking about when you were kind of dovetailing, you and Tasha with the content at the Brand Builders training, because you know, it's about getting that yes before you get on the call. And when you get on the call, it's getting yes, yes, yes. So you're constantly getting at least 3 yeses while you're on there. So what you've done there, Chris, is made it really simple for all of us to pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, like you say, I'm doing really cool stuff. You're doing really cool stuff. I would love to know how you and I can partner together. Would you be open to that? Yes, of course. Who's going to say no?
Right,
Who's
right.
Gonna say no?
Right.
I'd love you to business. Who's going to say no to that?
Right. So part number 1, so for the tools, part number 1 is the non-negotiable power hour appointment with yourself. Tool number 2 is the Power 100 list. It's 100 people, and I guarantee, I know it's painstaking, you know, to make a list of 100 people, but what I will tell you is that it really is the second part, because if you go to your Power Hour and you don't have a list of people to call, I promise I can move paper around from point A to point B on my desk for an entire hour and never get anything done. Right? But if I have a list of 5 or 10 or 20 people that I'm going to call with phone numbers and a little note about what I want to talk to them about, I will make those calls. It'll happen. And my non-negotiable hour will be completely productive. Okay. So
question for you.
Okay, good.
Before we move on to the next one. So do you use one of your power hours to create that list for the rest of the week? Or do you have some extra time that you program in, say on a Friday, to make that Power 100 list for the next week? What's your strategy for that?
So I do not use my power hour for anything but making outbound calls. Period. I really, because it's non-negotiable. I know that the only way I'm going to move and do the things I want to do. And, you know, one of the projects I'm working on is working on the 70,000 kids in the state of California who don't have a forever home. And I know that if I don't do my work, share my services with other folks, I can't do my nonprofit work. I just don't have the flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
So the power hour I save for non-negotiable appointment with myself to make outbound calls. So I put other times in my calendar. I do it on Sunday night. So Sunday night, I allow about an hour to prep for the week, check on my calendar, and make sure that I have enough people to call over the course of the week for my power hours. And I actually put the folks in the power hour because I use Outlook Calendar. You can use Excel, you can use a paper list. It doesn't matter. And it's more important that you have a list. And
yeah.
you know, for the week, I'm going to make 50 calls. So I have 50 names for that week, or I'm going to make 20 calls, or whatever your number is.
Okay, perfect. So that is part of the engagement strategy, that, you know, because you're setting other things that we've got another 2 steps to go through on this call. And what you can do, girls and guys and girls who are on the call right now, is utilize the power of the other tools that are in the Brand Builders Club online learning center. For example, the 10-step visibility strategy.
Absolutely.
Doing that visibility, which creates conversations, which creates numbers, which creates your 100 list for the following week. So you're constantly working on adding to that top 100 list. Is that correct, Chris?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, that visibility, or that whole idea of visibility, you have to do them in concert with each other, right? And that's why I love how easy this is. It doesn't, so check it out. It doesn't cost any money to make a power hour. It doesn't cost any money to make a power 100 list. It's free. These tools are all free to you. You have access to them. Use them. Use the Brand Builders Club. Use all the tools inside the Learning Center. Oh, I just love it.
Me too. We're in our playground.
I know. You know, it's so funny because the whole idea of, I know I get super passionate and I feel like I get up on my soapbox about it. And what I know is that it will make all of your lives and my life so much easier, and just using those simple tools. So let's talk about tool number 3.
Yeah.
So tool number 3 is follow up. And we talk a lot about follow up. We've talked a lot about it in Brand Builders Club and all the different places. But here's what we know. 80%, write this down, 80% of people, business owners or salespeople, don't follow up after the first interaction. 80%. So that means I don't even know how to figure out that statistic. But if I just follow up one time, the chances of me getting the business went 50% higher, right? Follow up 2 times, follow up 3 times. Here's the other statistic. 80% of decision makers do not follow up. 80% of decision makers take 5 to 12 interactions with me before they say yes. So here's what we know. A lot of people will say, oh, I made 10 calls and I didn't get a hold of anybody, or I made 10 calls and they all said no. Well, here's what I love. Is it no, not now, or no, never? So when people say no to me, I say, great. Is it no, not now, or no, never? And I really do ask them that question because I want to be clear. I don't want to waste their time and I don't want to waste my time. So most of the time they say, well, it's just no, not now. Perfect. When is a great time to call you back? They'll say in March, first Friday in March, like Sammy and I just did, and they'll say the first Friday in March. And so when I call them back, remember, 80% of salespeople or business owners don't follow up after the first interaction. So I do what I say, and here's what we know. When you're building trust and rapport, what is the most important thing? It's do what you say you're going to do, right? So if I follow up, right. So if I follow up and I do what I say I'm going to do, and they answer the phone and they say, but I'm still busy, I still can't talk. Great. Is it still no, not now? Yes. Great. When's a great time to talk to you? And some people get really frustrated because people aren't saying yes, but they are kind of saying yes. They're just saying not now, right? So I love the no, not now, because I love to have a booked calendar for the rest of the year. So 80% of people don't follow up after the first interaction. You follow up 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, you're going to be in way better shape. And 80% of decision makers don't make a decision until the 5th to the 12th interaction. So don't get frustrated if they say no, not now. It just means they're not ready. People buy what they want, not what they need. You might know they need it, but they're not in the buying mode yet.
Yeah.
I just love that because it's so easy.
I know, but it's made hard, I think, because of certain things that happen in childhood. Things that happen, like you get rejected, or someone laughs at you when you stand up to speak, or all these things that
Of
happen that
course.
accumulate, and actually these layers that if only we could take all those layers off and say, what if there were no rejection? What if there were only people on the other end of that phone that could not wait to hear from you? What if when
Right.
you made that call, they were in a situation where you were able to say, oh my gosh, like, how can I help? This happened the other day. Jamie made a call to somebody who we know, and they were going through a real problem, and they couldn't get something to work, and we just happened to phone at the right time. Well, usually, and I did think, maybe we shouldn't phone them, because it's fairly late in the evening, maybe we shouldn't phone them, just leave them alone. We happened to call at the right time, and they said, oh my God, I can't believe you've helped me to fix this. I've been 3 hours trying to solve this problem, and just in a couple of seconds you've given me the solution. I am so grateful that you called me. Like, we make so many assumptions that the person on the other end of the phone doesn't want to hear from you. But if they won't want to hear from you if all you do is go on to sell at them.
Right.
This needs to be a two-way conversation, and that's that. I think, Chris, this is where the energy piece maybe stops that flow, because people think when they make a sales call, it's to sell at them, rather than it be an exchange where everybody wins. So, are there any tips that you've got around that? And saying hi to Jose and Carol and Valerie and all the people, and Andreas.
Hi, you guys.
Come on.
So,
Any tips?
so, so what I believe is that people buy from people they love, like, and respect. Period. Like and trust. Okay. Period. It's end of the discussion. Have you ever bought anything from anybody who you didn't like or you didn't trust? No. And if you did, it was a mistake, and it was a mistake, and you're like, I can't believe I did that. So,
should have followed my gut.
Yeah, exactly. So what I would say about the energy going into calls, somebody was asking me the other day, they said, what should I do to get my energy up? And I said, well, what works for you? Some people like to go running before they make their calls. When I was working with these 4 business owners that were doing 100K a month, so they all had a Power 100 list. They all had a Power Hour. But here's the other couple of things that they all did. They all did some form of exercise, all of them, right? They all had some motivational tape that they listened to, or some motivational, right? So they got on, and this one guy had it was in 2007, so it was before iPhones were so readily available, but he had a box of tapes, or of Walkmans. That's what he had. And he would take the Walkman out, and I go, how do you...
That's going back.
I know. I go,
that's like, what's that, 1980s? I kind of remember the Walkman. I think I had one. If you had a Walkman, give us a thumbs up. Do you remember the Walkman? That's like a blast. You just blown my mind with that.
Well, he had, so it was 2007, but he had, he was an older guy, and he did have some Walkmans. He had some iPods. But here's what happened. When he pulled out the box, and he goes, every morning when I go for a run, I decide what motivational tape I want to listen to. And he goes, he wasn't very much into technology, so he would just pick out of the box whatever kind of run he wanted to have, or whatever kind of listening he wanted to have. So they all did the Power Hour, they all did the Power 100, they all exercised, and they all listened to motivational tapes. The 5th thing that they all did, none of them listened to the news or read any newspaper or did anything like that. Because
that is so enormous.
Well, and they didn't watch TV. So they didn't watch TV. They didn't do the newspaper. And somebody has asked me before, well, how did they get their news? And they all said, because I asked them that question because I was kind of curious. And they said, if something happens, somebody will call me.
Right. Or like, I get people tell me things all the time. Like my husband, we had like this massive shooting that happened in Paris, really close to where I lived when I was in France. And I had no idea until he called me and said, oh my God, are you okay? This is happening. Because I just shut myself off from the rest of the world. You'll always find out if there's something important.
Right. And I think that what I learned from those four business owners, and two of them were women and two of them were men, and they did not know each other. And what I learned from them, though, is that the focus is so important. They were so
Yeah.
focused on what they did so they could have more time to do. They all were actively involved in nonprofits. They were all actively involved with their families. And I've never met any business owner in my entire life, and I've done a lot, thousands and thousands of intakes. I've never met a business owner that says, I want to get rich and greedy on purpose. They don't say that, right? They say, I want to buy a home for my mom. I want to get my grandma out of, whatever. I want to buy somebody told me one time they want to buy an island for wayward dogs. So what we know is that business owners, you guys, we're such a breed, right? We don't give up. We continue going and going and going. We're always trying to better ourselves. And our overall view is not to go sell something to somebody who doesn't want it. It's just to write these words down: sift and sort. I want to sift and sort through the audience, and I want to find all the folks who are wearing orange socks, right? Because the rest of them aren't my customers. I'm not trying to give them any product or service because they're not my customers. I'm just looking for the ones with the orange socks. So what I would love to ask to you is, who are you looking for? Ones with red hats, ones with pink sweaters. What are you looking for? And once you get super clear on that, then all you're doing, whether you go to a networking event or you're making phone calls or whatever that is, you're just sifting and sorting through that audience.
I love that. Sifting and sorting. That's a really great way of looking at it. I remember Dan Kennedy. Those of you that know who knows Dan, give us a thumbs up if you know Dan Kennedy. I remember there was once where I'd braved it, and I sent out my very first email marketing campaign.
Oh yeah.
And I about 100 people on my list back then. So it was about 102 or something people that I sent this email, and I was being really brave, and I'd never sent one before. And I'd come back from like this marketing event in London. I was like, right, I'm going to do it. And so I sent this email marketing campaign out. Like a couple of emails went out, and they were value added emails. I wasn't selling anything, just like an update. Here's some of the things that will help you in your business, la-di-da-di-da. So sent them out, and they were to all people that I had met. So there were people that I'd met on networking events physically, that I'd had their card, and I typed it into my CRM, and so I got that email out. And there were 4 people who responded that said, don't ever contact me, remove me from your list, and were really like angry bears. And it scared the shit out of me so much that I didn't send another email. It was about 2 years before I sent another email. And I was at it was a Chris Cardell event, and Dan Kennedy was speaking at the event. And I happened to brave it and grab the microphone to ask a question in this audience of about 800 entrepreneurs. And I just said, what happens if you get people that do that? It's like, I'm fearful that I'm pushing things on people that they don't want. And Amanda and I met at that event then. And he said, well, okay, tell me this. What's your name? I said, Sammy. He said, tell me this then, Sammy. So you've sent the email out to around 100 people, yes. And 4 people said they don't want it, yes. Well, what about the other 96 that couldn't wait for your next email? And you let them down by not showing up. And I was just like,
oh my gosh.
What did I do? I didn't think about them. I was focused on the people so much that didn't want me, that my fear of rejection, all those childhood things just went. And I was like, I can't believe I did that. So I let 96 people down just because those 4 people just sifted and sorted themselves. So Wilma, I think you've had an explanation of what that is in Dutch, so that's all good. But yes, to sift means to sort through it, so that now I love it when people unsubscribe. I love it when people say to me, please remove me from your list. because I know now that when I remove them, I'm only communicating with people that really want to hear from me. And I always go back to that person and say, thank you so much for reaching out. Tell me about your business, because there might be something else that, you know, if it's not
Right.
email, I'd still love to support you in some way. So what is it you're doing? I might know some people that need what you provide. And so I use that as an opportunity to sift and sort at the next level as to, is it email because they hate receiving things by email? And some people have said, well, actually, I'd love to join your Facebook group because then I can go, you know, it's a conversation, isn't it?
Well,
it's just a conversation.
Well, and what I love is there's two metaphors that I use for sift and sort. One is gold panning, right? So when you're in the river and you're gold panning with a sifting device, I don't know what they call that gold pan sifting device, but they're sifting, and what you're looking for is you're looking for little gold nuggets, right? Well, it's the same thing. The other thing is that if you ever cleaned out a drawer, right? What you're doing when you clean out the drawer is you're sifting and sorting, doing the same thing, right? You're sifting through all the things that don't belong in the drawer and saving the things that do belong in the drawer.
Yeah, I love it. So we've got a question. We're going to have to wrap up in a couple of minutes, but we've got a question from Andrea Feinberg. Thank you for your question, Andrea. She says, Chris, because some prospects are embarrassed to say no, not never, or no, I'm not the decision maker, and they'll just dangle you, is there a way to find this out without making them feel cornered?
So Andrea, thanks for the question. And I think most people like clarity. I think most people like us to be clear and specific. And so when we ask them, people say no, and you say, let me just make sure I'm clear, because I want to make sure I serve you, right? So are you saying no, not now, or no, never? And some people will say no, never. And I'm going, thank you for being honest. Oh my gosh, I love the honesty. I love the clarity. Do you know anybody else who might be interested in having a conversation with me about such and such? Or if they say no, not now, say, great, thank you for being so honest. When is a great time for me to follow up with you? Because I want to serve you, and I can only serve you if I know when.
Yeah. And Chris, taking it that one step further then, what if you have someone that says, well, it's a no, not now, but what they really mean is a no, not never. Is there some little thing that you're looking for? Is there a gut instinct thing you think, nah? Or is that, again, making an assumption that that really they're not thinking that at all? Are we kind of presupposing that that's what they're thinking when they're not thinking that?
Yeah, I don't really have that experience. I use no, not never and no, not now. I've been using it for 25 years. I always ask the question, and I don't think I've ever had, some people will say no, never, and they're a little abrupt about it. But what I make up is that they're just uncomfortable in being clear.
Sorry. My dog wants to chip in.
Yeah, so I think that what I want to make sure is I want to give the last tip before we run off. So the last tip is making sure that you have a goal. And I'm talking about a super easy goal. And I'll give you my goal. It's 10 to 5. So I make 10 calls every day. I get 2 appointments every day. And I add 5 people to my Power 100 list. So it's 10 to 5, 10 to 5. And feel free to borrow it, because it really does work, and it makes it so simple. You can absolutely track, etc. And I would highly recommend you track and have some accountability partner inside of Brand Builders, because what would it be like, Sammy, if everybody said, I did my 10-5 today, I called 10 people, I got 2 appointments, and I added 5 people to my name list, because we're all on the same path. We're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Chris, I want to keep talking to you forever, but we've got to go.
Okay.
It's so many amazing tips that you've given there, and little tidbits and nuggets. Guys and girls, I hope that you come and play with Chris and I. And also we have Dennis Janssen, who you heard from on the 10-day challenge. He's going to be with us in April. We've got Darian Hill, who's watching right now on Facebook advertising. He's going to be with us in April. Dennis is talking about calls to action. Chris is going to talk about some compelling language. I'm then going to take that forward to help you create videos that sell when you're not there, using the compelling language. And then we're going to wrap up the day with Facebook bots, making sure that you can be engaging with people without having to be there physically all the time. So we've got an amazing training day lined up in London Heathrow at the Park Inn Hotel on Friday, the 26th of April. We've got a social from 6 till 9 the night before, so make sure you get there a bit earlier. And then we have 2 whole days of Trish and Nancy, who are flown. They're also flying over from America to deliver their Business of Speaking event. So we're naming the weekend How to Monetize While You Socialize, because every time you open your mouth, there can be an interaction that creates an engagement, that creates a conversation, that eventually creates a conversion. So that whole weekend, book it out. Make sure that you're at the events. And Chris, thank you so much from our hearts, because I'm sure I speak on behalf of me and all of our amazing entrepreneurs on the call. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you.
And I'm so pleased we got to hear it.
Yes, yay.
And we'll see you soon.
Okay,
See you
thank
in
you.
April.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.